Good morning. In post-COVID, I don't even know what day it is any longer. I had to ask my partner and wife, Marilyn, Wednesday or Thursday. So we're all experiencing the same thing. Foxhole life. I want to talk today about the difference between break-even and profit. And there's a major difference. In accounting, break-even is defined by the financial position of the company. It is defined by what do you got in the cigar box, what's coming in, what's going out, and what do we need in order to see zero. Break even is zero, and that's the way you end up. Now, it's different from profit. Profit is the amount of revenue we bring in against the amount of expenses that go out. That becomes what we call profit. There's a difference between profit and break even, and the difference basically comes down to the point when you get to the bottom of the cigar box and you got more bills than you got money. How are we going to make up the difference? My new post-COVID world is about a concept called break even minus one. The minus one is we are going to need to borrow during this period of, I don't know what to call it yet, COVID, post-COVID, COVID and post-COVID. So during this period of post-COVID or COVID, whatever you want to call it, we're going to need to borrow to make up the difference if we can't see break even, because the essential cause of any business is the idea that it is a going concern. Going means going. We aren't going out of business because we can't pay the light bill. We're going to find a way to pay the light bill. And the way we're going to find a way to pay that light bill is we're going to borrow. And we're going to do it without scrutiny. No longer Paul Miller crap about how much we're borrowing. We need to borrow to stay alive. Now, it's not going to be easy to borrow in a post-COVID world because everybody needs it. We're watching the stimulus package, and United Airlines gobbles up $25 million but then decides to lay everybody off. And Shake Shack needed $10 million, but they got to... it's utter nonsense in a way. But what's happening is the guy down here on the street, my favorite entrepreneur, is the guy that picks up the bottles in downtown Portland. And he's got his little wagon, and he carries it with his bicycle or pulls it with his bicycle, and he goes from garbage can to garbage can, getting bottles that he returns for something like 5 cents and a dime. He is my favorite entrepreneur. I can guarantee there are no federal stimulus funds for him. Now, maybe it's a little extreme, but if you all know who I am an extremist, and I want to make the example. Main Street, where my favorite entrepreneur lives, is not going to see that federal money. In fact, the old saying with farmers is, if the government's here to help, we're all screwed. We're going to have to borrow somehow. Borrow from your neighbor. Borrow from the piggy bank. Borrow from your 401k. Borrow from your father. Borrow from any source you can borrow from. And one of the best sources that you can consider are the people that you already owe money to. You are a vested interest in them. In our world, the people that owe me money are the people that make my living. And so I'm extending credit to every single debtor that asks for it. But I want terms. It's not an open-ended U.S. federal government, here's $1 trillion, don't worry about paying it back. It's an obligation that you have. You must meet it. And I'm going to help you with that obligation by extending you favorable terms in order to pay it back. But we must have those terms. And here's the one that a lot of you aren't going to like to hear. It must be written down. The wimpy is over with. The gladly pay me, pay whoever on Tuesday is no longer going to work. I need it written. So that when Tuesday comes, I have something to go back to. What I want you to remember today is break even minus one. I am Paul Miller, and I am United Obligations.